Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Shay. I am sorry, my voice has been going in and out all week. So this might be a quick video. It might not, I never can tell. Your girl like to talk. So this was inspired by my brother. I was sitting down thinking about what I wanted to record next after I talked about my purpose. And he was like, why don't you talk about the importance of therapy? And I was like, I like that, especially in the Black community. Now, I'm not trying to single anybody out, but honestly, in the Black community, it's been better. But we still have a lot that think that therapy is just not important, and it is. So let's get right into the video. Y'all know I got my notes. So we do know about generational wealth and passing that down, but we should know about generational trauma. This is something that we can pass down willingly and unwillingly. Pain and unprocessed healing gets transferred down to our kids, our families. It's not just money, y'all. My biggest fear in life is loss, to be left alone. And I needed to go to therapy to kind of figure that out. I tried to figure it out on my own, but that just exacerbated my people-pleasing tendencies because I had a fear, and I still do, of being alone, of losing people. So what I would do is just morph myself and change myself into someone just so people could stay around. And then when they ended up leaving, I was left to pick up the pieces by myself. So I needed to understand where that came from and why. And I tried to figure that out on my own. And I was just going around in circles and making the same mistakes. So that's where therapy comes in. So I'll give you a backstory. I wasn't always an advocate of therapy. When I was younger, my mom sent me to my first therapist because there were things that happened in my childhood that just really messed me up. And I started to lash out on my mom. So she took me to therapy, and I just remember my first therapy experience just not going well. The lady essentially just blamed me for what adults were doing. And blame and said, how did I contribute to it? And I was just very confused. Like, what do you mean? What did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't deserve that. Like, what are we talking about? I've never been in trouble prior. I've always been the happy-go-lucky kid. So why are you trying to blame it on me? And from then on, I just decided, like, ugh, yuck. So then as I got older, I just realized that I just like to talk to my friends about their issues. I would sit down and listen to them. I gave sound advice, but I just never took it in for myself. When I got into high school, I really thought about, what if my first interaction with that therapist had been better? Maybe there's certain things in my life that I wouldn't accept or I wouldn't do. So that's when I decided I wanted to be a therapist for not just adults, but for kids who not necessarily went through what I went through, but are going through things that don't really know how to express themselves. They need a safe space for somebody to help them figure it out. This is why I disliked therapy for such a long time, because one, I didn't have the proper therapist. We didn't mesh. And two, my biases off of that bad therapy session made me feel like all therapists were the same. When I became an adult, I found more therapists that were aligned to my goals and what I was going through life. And I realized the common factor with all the things that were going on in my life was me. Honestly and truly, I could blame other people for their actions, but they need to take accountability for them. I can't do that. So I need to take accountability for me. And the only reason how I got to that is because therapy. Yeah, we have family and friends, but they're not biased. They're not unbiased, I mean. And honestly, they're not professionals. Therapy helps us get healthier relationships. It makes us more clear with our needs and boundaries. Like I told you before, I've always been a people pleaser, and I've always respected others' boundaries. But when it came to me, If I set boundaries or things that I didn't like and someone didn't follow through with it, I was like, okay, it's fine. But therapy actually helped me set clear boundaries and things that aligned with what made me happy and what made me feel good. It's also helped me become resilient when tough things happen in my life. I've always been a person, when something bad happens, I blame myself, I blame God. I thought he hated me. I always talk bad about myself, which it goes into another aspect. The voice inside became more kinder. So the proper therapist helped me to figure out like why these things happen. Not everything is my fault, and even if it is my fault, it helped me to forgive myself and have more understanding to me. The understanding that I had for other people and the kindness that I showed and the forgiveness that I showed other people, when it came to myself, it just was non-existent. So that's what I had to figure out. All these revelations came after I started taking therapy seriously. A major reason why I wanted to become a therapist is because a lot of times, like I said before, friends and family, they got your back, or sometimes they think they have your back by agreeing with things that you're saying, by giving you their thoughts of how things should operate, and then you follow that through and it didn't work out in your favor. An unbiased professional can help you exercise your mental fitness. I wrote here, a trained, objective person helps you to understand the complexity of your mind. We are in a culture of quick fixes. We want things done rapidly and quickly. When people think about that, therapy doesn't happen overnight. Therapy is not a quick fix. I've been in therapy for years. That may sound really daunting to people because, like I said, we're in a generation of quick. If it's not quick, we don't want to handle it. So it becomes like a turnoff. We want quick money. We enter relationships quickly. We just want it quick, quick, quick. Changing mindsets, shifting patterns can't happen overnight. It's not as easy as ordering a Big Mac, y'all. It takes some time and effort. Like myself, I have always been looking for shortcuts for relief. If I got a heartbreak, move on to the next person. If this job didn't fulfill me and I didn't figure out the reasons why it didn't fulfill me, just exit it out and go to the next. We do this repeatedly and it just makes things worse. It doesn't make things better. We have become a culture that is very good at hiding things about ourselves. Like, we see it, we know the problem, we see something doesn't feel right, but instead of trying to go through it, we go around it. What this does is make it worse, numbs the emotions that comes with it, and avoids discomfort. Who likes to sit in discomfort? Not I, said the cat. You want to know what I enjoy most about self-care? It doesn't always have to do with me taking myself on a date, drinking a glass of wine, going to get a pedicure, and getting my nails done, or getting my eyebrows waxed, or getting a nice deep tissue massage, child. Those all are great, but self-care gets skipped over when we deal with our mental. When it comes to our mental, we think, oh, well, let's just sit in meditation mode, hum for 5 minutes, clear our mind, and we're good to go. Yes, that can help the process, but we need to dive a little bit deeper. And I feel that is the ultimate version of self-care. So as you guys know, I'm in school right now for psychology and with a concentration in mental health. So this week, we learned different sort of therapeutic avenues, and one of my favorite, I wrote it down because I didn't want to get it wrong, was psychoanalytic talk therapy. So this type of therapy uses the relationship between the therapist and the patient as a highlight to understand all of the patient's relationships. Things you need to understand about yourself will happen in therapy. For a perfect example, I wrote this about myself, and when we were learning it and I sat down and talked to my therapist, I realized that although I've been doing therapy for a very long, not a very long time, child, Jesus, but I've been doing therapy for a while. I knew that I was a people pleaser. I realized how sensitive I was, but I realized in that session that day, this is what I was doing. And it gave me an aha moment. That's why I wrote it down. So example of what I said is a person who people pleases, me, to get in or feel accepted, right? This is what I did a lot of my life. Will eventually start to do whatever or agree with the therapist to feel liked and accepted by my therapist. And what my therapist did immediately, which is why I said psychoanalytic talk therapy is one of my favorite therapy maneuvers, is because immediately she was like, Shay, hold up. She interrupted what I was saying, and she cut me off, which is fine. But she said, hey, hold up. I see what you're doing. And we talked about this before, like you do with other people, but I see you're doing it with me right now. And let's try to understand why this is happening. I see that you're changing your answers to align with what I'm saying, instead of like, if this is truly how you feel, or instead of like diving into what you actually feel, no matter how it made me feel or what I was saying. I see that you said that you did this in all your other relationships as well, and I noticed that you're starting to do it here. So let's stop for a little bit and dive into that and see why this is happening, so we could get to the source of the problem, so that now we are not doing this in this session, but then you can use this work and not do it in your other relationships as well. And this is why a professional is so important. Don't run away from therapy, y'all. I'm saying it's saving lives, child. Listen, I know it's tough to do. I know it's daunting to think, let me dig out things that I buried in the back of my head. Let me figure out why these type of relationships keep coming into my life. Let me figure out why I'm so bad with money, that as soon as a lump sum of money comes in my life, it exits the next day. I know it's hard to think about these things. I know sometimes we may not have the money to deal with therapy. There are clinics out there that can assist in that. A lot of insurances now does cover your therapy costs, because I know a lot of African Americans really are just not for it, because one, the cost is super expensive, and two, don't nobody really want to sit down and dig up things that make them sad or make them feel incompetent or make them feel less than. Nobody wants to do that. But we can't expect to reach our emotional potential by ourselves. Again, family and friends are essential. They are beneficial with the happiness and the wellness of our lives, but they are not unbiased. They are not professional. They can get you but so far, but you need to go further. Advocate for anything that makes you more comfortable with being uncomfortable, gets you to a better level in life. I had to learn that. Listen, it took me a long time to realize it's okay to not be surrounded by a bunch of people. It made me uncomfortable that I didn't have so much people around me, because that was what I was used to. I have a big family, so these are things I was used to. But therapy, a professional who understands the mind, helped me to realize that it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's not a bad thing. So I'm not here to preach. I'm really here to turn you to therapy, if I could be honest. But I'm not here to preach and dig it down your throat. But I do want you to know therapy is not a bad thing. Don't let anybody make you feel that going to therapy means that you're crazy, means that you're a loser, means that something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Listen, I wrote down, therapy will increase the depths of your happiness. Therapy will honor your sadness. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad. Breakups, losses, loss of job, changes in life. They bring sadness, and we live in a culture where happiness is like the forefront, and we need to walk in happiness all day, every day. That's unrealistic. Therapy makes space for your emotions and doesn't make you feel judged by the different emotions that you go through life. Like I just said, it's okay not to be happy all the time. Therapy gives you support and permission to experience all of your emotions, everything that you're going through. Listen, it is what as valuable as food is to the body, therapy is to your mind. Well, a lot of things and a lot of times we do things in life and we don't understand exactly where it's coming from, why we chose to do it, why we dismiss it. But going through therapy, having a professional therapist kind of sit down and talk you through these things helps you to become not only a better person for yourself. I wrote it here. Not only a better person for yourself, but in relationships, I'll take care of you if you take care of me. Instead of saying that, say, I'll take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. And therapy allows us to do that. And it's not selfish, y'all. I promise you it's not. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.